Hi, it's Chef Erin, and I'm going to show you how I make my scones. Alright, so I'm mixing all my dry ingredients together first, and I'm adding my pre-cubed cold butter. I'm going to begin to cut my butter into my dries using my bowl scraper and then switch to the pastry blender. The pastry blender has multiple tines on it, which makes it so much easier to cut in your butter so much more efficiently and effectively than just the single blade of your bowl scraper. I'm going to continue to cut my butter into my dry ingredients, and I'm going to use the pastry blender to help pick up those dry pockets or those dry areas, and use the blender as a sifter to see if there are any large pieces of butter I may have missed. It's a really nice tool for many different things. One of those to actually sift through, and it will catch all those bigger pieces, and then you can just go right back in and cut it. I'm going to start going through with my hand and feeling for the butter chunks and making sure we're all evenly sized, and double checking that I didn't miss any large pieces of butter through my cutting process. So far I feel pretty good about my butter. It's all meeting about that pea size that we are looking for. I'm going to add my inclusion, and I'm using freeze-dried mandarin segments. They're whole segments of mandarin orange that have been freeze-dried. It's kind of amazing. With the humidity, they're starting to get clumped together and they're not as crunchy as they used to be, so I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to use them for something that doesn't need to stay crunchy. But it's not going to add any more moisture to my overall scone recipe, and it's going to keep it really nice and dry. So if you can see, here's that slice, amazing. But I'm just gonna break it up. It's pretty crunchy, so it's easy to break up. I'm gonna then go back in with my bowl scraper and continue on with that cutting motion to make sure it's evenly dispersed throughout my dries. Now we're gonna go all in with our liquids. I'm gonna pour right in the center, and then I'm gonna go in again with that same cutting motion. Alright, so as I keep going, you can see that I'm starting to gather more of my dough. It's becoming more of an actual dough and less dry. And I keep lifting up the bulk of my wet dough so I can see what is still dry underneath and get that incorporated and cut into the bulk of my dough. So as you can see, there's still some dry pieces on the bottom. I'm going to lift that up and get that incorporated, and then I start to see it on the bottom. I'm going to start going into my cut and stack method. So once I'm mostly all together, I will take the dough, press it down into a round, cut it in half, stack it on top of each other. And I'll do that 3 or 4 times to 5 times, just depending upon how uneven the dough might feel, and I'm feeling for any wet spots or dry spots. I try to combine the dry spot on top of the wet spot, and so on and so forth. Now I'm going to do that slight bit of kneading, not much, just enough to bring my dough back together again and stop. After I've got my dough together, I lightly flour my surface, and I'm starting to form my round into an evenly thin, thick disc. But I'm going to press mine into a cake pan, so I like to put a little bit of flour in my cake pan, and I'll dust my dough in some flour as well as the sides, just to ensure that it doesn't stick to my pan. And then I will put that dry side, or the floured side, inside of my pan, and I'll just gently press it down the rest of the way. From here, we're going to go into the refrigerator for 20 minutes minimum, up to overnight, until it's completely chilled down. To release it from the pan, go ahead and tap your sides, and it should start to release and or come out on its own, and invert, and voila. Then go in with your nice sharp knife and make your perfect cuts and cut your scones into 8 pieces. So easy because it's nice and cold. And then you're going to tray up your scones. They should be, again, nice and cold. They should be firm. It should be nice and easy to move around. They should have nice visible chunks of butter in there. You can see the height of my scone there too. And you're going to arrange it all nice and neat so they don't grow into each other as they are baking. Now I like to do a cream wash, so I'm brushing the tops of my scones with just cold cream, and then I'm going to be sprinkling the tops with some sugar. From here, we're going to go right into the oven, and they're going to bake until they're done. It's going to be beautiful. Thanks for watching.